Good evening, everyone. It is now 7 p.m. I will call the Tuesday, September 21st, 2021 Board of Selectmen meeting to order. All three selectmen are present, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just a reminder, we are being recorded currently. If you are in the virtual audience, and you would like to speak during citizens' comments, you can raise your hand. You can chat your name and address in the chat box. Just make sure you unmute yourself, state your name and address before you speak. And that holds true for everybody in the live audience. Everybody in the live audience, if you would like to speak during our citizen comments, you have to come up closer to the table so that the noise echo canceling microphone can pick up your voice. And again, state your name and address before speaking. All right, so with that, we'll move on to agenda item 2, approval of the minutes. I make a motion that we approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from August 3rd, 2021.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on these minutes?
I didn't see anything. I thought they looked good.
I did as well.
Fine.
All in favor of approving the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from August 3rd, 2021, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Didn't think so. Okay, that motion passes. I make a motion that we approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from September 7th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on these minutes? And I thought they looked fine.
I did too.
I'm good.
All right. There's no further discussion. All in favor of approving the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from September 7th, 2021, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. We had 3 pieces of correspondence. The first, the Chamber of Commerce business after hours. Let's see, tomorrow, 5 to 7 p.m. at Marley's Pub. A thank you acknowledgement for the contribution to TVCCA's Senior Nutrition Program, and then a business showcase, which is coming up October 6th, 2021. Is there any other correspondence at this time?
Didn't have any.
No correspondence? All right. So moving on to Selectmen comments, agenda item 4, Selectmen comments at this time. The floor is open for the Selectmen.
It's been a rough few weeks. And Amy on her quick ability to be able to secure some safety for our town with the EMS situation. I think that she's gone above and beyond, and put a few extra hours in the last 2 weeks. So that would be my comment.
The only thing I got is the community day that's coming up on, I think it's October 2nd. So anything else, will probably be covered under some of our business at hand.
Right. Yeah, I was going to state Community Day as well, October 2nd. I hope for a nice turnout that day. I hope it's a wonderful day, nice and sunny, as it usually is in the past. Just an update, we are moving forward because we have money in our budget currently outside of the ARPA funds. We're going to be moving forward with some site plan development for the new salt storage facility and the public safety / ambulance facility at the town garage. We just want to look at the site, see if there is ample space, because obviously at this point we are in a situation where we have to act fast to make sure that we have a place to hold our ambulances so that the service can continue for our residents. So we are going to be working with J&D Civil Engineers on a preliminary site plan with the money that's already in place in the budget. that we had put aside, which I believe we have about 21,000 for that currently. So again, just moving forward with things, yeah, to get it done. Any other selectmen comments at this time? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to agenda item 5, citizen comments. The floor is open for citizen comments. Agenda item 5, again, state your name and address before speaking. We have someone in the live audience.
Hi, my name's Diane Jameson. I live at 490 Sunset Hill Road in North Silverdale. So I wasn't sure what the agenda was tonight. I'm glad to see that there's something about the ambulance services. I have concerns about the safety of the residents, and I want to see, the fire station and the ambulance service.
Thank you. Okay, we have another resident in our live audience. Sure, let me just get this close to you.
Okay, one of the questions I have,
Oh, you gotta say your name and
oh,
address.
excuse me, Paul Linky, Watson Road, Quinnebog. We haven't done no roadside mowing as of late. Am I correct?
You are potentially correct. We are 4 people short right now in the Public Works garage.
Okay, now, the thing with that, with the roadside mowing is we have a contract with Eversource.
Mhm.
I assume you understand that,
Mhm.
okay? That contract is, they purchased the mower for the town of Thompson. It's a shared machine for 3 years, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 10. And we've surpassed that by quite a bit already. And for the other towns that are using it, they're not obligated to fix anything that's broken, if it's destroyed or whatever. So that would fall back to the town of Thompson. That machine should stay here, okay? And the other part of the contract too, which we haven't done for a couple of years, is we're supposed to mow on the front side of the telephone pole, and then where it's permissible. Don't take nobody's bushes down, don't take their good plants down. We mow 5 feet on the opposite side. And the reason that was put into the contract, and that's goes forever. So if there was ever a power outage, like we had a snowstorm where the lines came down, they get buried in the brush, it's easier for them to find them when they're laying down, when the brush is mowed. So that's something that needs to be straightened out. Okay?
Okay.
Also, I'd like to know, on the Buckley Hill Road Bridge, why is there a 5-ton limit on that bridge?
The bridge is in poor condition, extremely poor condition. We just completed and actually this isn't supposed to be back and forth, it is supposed to be citizen comments, but I will be happy to answer. The engineering preliminary design and estimates have been completed. We will be reviewing those on Monday with WMC Engineering. And that is the reason there's a limit. Because the bridge is unsafe. It's been deemed unsafe by DOT.
And what made it, what was their decision to make it, what was unsafe about it? That's what I would like to know.
I'm waiting to sit down with WMC to see
Because-
exactly their analysis.
And any bridge that is constructed within the federal highway standards, you have to take the dead load of the bridge, which is all the components, and that determines what the live load. And according to the federal highway bridge sources, that bridge should withstand a load of 360,000 pounds. And now we're down to 10,000. And that's a bridge which goes on a collector road from Route 200 to Route 12.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and the other thing I want to ask is, what prompted the board to take and sell the property down there in Wilsonville on a corner on Route 12?
It was a decision by the board. It was a decision by planning and zoning to move forward with it, and it went out to bid.
There was no.
And it went to the property owner next to it.
Okay.
But you know what? This isn't back and forth, so please continue
Oh, no,
your comments, and
okay.
we want to keep going because we have a full agenda tonight.
Well, the thing with that is what.
And if you'd like to come into my office, we could have more of a
What was told to
conversation.
me is the highway superintendent was tired of maintaining it, and he listed it as a liability to the town.
That is not accurate. But please come to my office. We can have more of a further discussion.
Okay.
If you want to have a back and forth, because right
No,
now it's
I'm
citizen
just saying
comments.
that,
Mhm.
when I heard about that, I said, well, if there was a liability to the town, it's a liability now because that's a potential brownfield.
what happened, if you really, well, we'll talk more, but this went back to planning and zoning. This went to the ZEO. This had nothing to do with the highway garage. The ZEO, it was town property and the adjacent neighbor was utilizing it as a driveway.
That's correct, because they
Correct.
were given permission to do that.
By who?
By
Your
my-
administration.
By my administration, because
Okay.
they wanted, because they've always,
You had formal something written? Because I've
there
never
should
seen
be a
that.
paper in the town, in the selectman's office, it should be on file that they sign that paper. Because they've always used it when the Landrys lived there, the prior owners gave them permission to use up front, because they had a 2-stall garage in the back. And if you looked at their property, they had no access to get back up on top other than park. So now you had 2 families living there with 4 cars. There's not enough, wasn't enough room. They asked if they could take and use the roadway coming up like they did before. And it was for them to take care of the roadway, plow it, sand it, whatever. The town was not going to be responsible. We weren't taking any liability for anything that happened. But I'm just saying, there was a
Well,
liability with that.
It went through a board, it went through a commission.
But we went through DEP when the building fell down in a snowstorm. And we had a big go around with that, how we were gonna do away with the property, not the property, but keep it as an open space. And we did have a plan for it. Okay, that even if that never materialized, it still should have stayed as open space.
It wasn't listed on the deed as open space, otherwise it would not have been able to be sold. It went through planning and zoning, it went through the Board of Selectmen. It went through the legal process.
Just to help you out a little bit, when we talked to DEP, they said that you cannot dig in the ground because of the nature of the business that was there prior to that. I'm just asking a question.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
gonna kind of let it go now.
But please feel free to stop by and we can chat more.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll do that. Thank
Would
you.
appreciate it. Any other citizen comments at this time? Okay, at this time, I don't see any more comments. And there is nobody else in the live audience. So we will move on. Resignations. I make a motion that we accept the resignation of Audrey Rutkowski as recording secretary, Sarah Menard as library circulation supervisor, and Chris McClure, purely recreation program. Accept those resignations with regret. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on these 3 employees? I always hate to see people leave. Hearing no comments, all in favor of accepting these 3 resignations with regret, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, of course, that motion passes. Agenda item 7, project graduation, request for fundraiser at the transfer station, October 9th, 2021, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. with a rain date of October 16th, 2021. This is a fill the paw
Did we get some of this?
fundraiser. There should have been. It was after the resignations. Right here, it was done as an email. Should have looked like an email from Kelly to Linda.
Motion to approve the fundraiser request.
Okay, we have a motion.
I did, sorry. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this fundraiser request? It's just,
Oh, like fill the boots, fill the pot. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
oh, and they also want to schedule another event vote. I think we'll hold off on that because it's not on the agenda. When they ask for it in April, we can address it then.
Is that Columbus Day weekend?
I believe it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other discussion on this request? All in favor of approving the project graduation request for a fundraiser at the transfer station, October 9th, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. with a rain date of October 16th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, opposed? That motion passes. Okay, so I asked that agenda item 8 be added to the agenda again. That was the transfer station scale fee. I know, Ken, you were in the Transfer Station Advisory Committee meeting. The scale fee, I mean, I asked for some clarification, but it's just an additional way to add revenue for services, potentially growing that service. Once people know that they can have their cars weighed for various reasons, it might increase the income a little bit, but just curious. I mean, anything, my feeling is anything we can do to keep that transfer station viable, with things such as this without raising the yearly fee, that works in my opinion.
I have no issue with the scale aspect, other than if it is a, somebody that's going in that already has a transfer station permit, should be included. If it's somebody that doesn't have it and they want a weight load or whatever, something of that nature, even a commercial contractor, you know, because somebody's scale may be down, then they get charged for that service.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Do you think that happens very often? Don't know,
I was
right?
talking with one of the people up there, and they say if it happens, you know, once or twice a month that somebody asks it to be weighed, it's very rare. It's not a moneymaker, and it's something that should be included. If you've already got a permit,
Right.
you know, I have no problem with that. You know, that's the same thing that we were talking about with the, you know, going to the credit cards, you know, with a $10 minimum charge. I understand that, but if somebody wants to pay cash, they pay the $6 fee and not the $10 for the minimum charge. So, you know, and any of the other materials that we have to pay, you know, to go up, such as the tires and things of that nature, is our cost. We just pass that on. And that's just being appropriate when we figure our weights. So,
Yeah, I'm in agreement. So we need a vote.
Do we need a vote? Do we need a motion?
uh,
Kind of talked about it without a motion.
well, we have talked about it before,
Right.
so
So,
I would make a motion that the fee increases, I think they were on the tires.
We already made that motion, I thought.
I don't
Did
think
we
so.
approve?
We took no action.
No, we
Oh,
didn't
took
take
no
any
action at all?
Right.
Okay, let me, I have the updated. Oh, yes, so here is the, there are the fees.
If,
The fees as
So,
presented.
As presented, is
with
what-
the exceptions
with the exception of,
the scale charge not to be charged if you are a permit holder. And when we do go to credit card situation, that there is a minimum $10 charge because you are using a credit card, because there's a charge back on town. But if you opt to pay cash, you are not charged,
Right,
you know, the banking fee to do that. I mean, ultimately, that would be my motion. Ultimately, you know, to keep doing away with cash being handled, there's the ultimate goal. It reduces, you know, multiple handlings and anything that, for accountability that transpire in the future.
okay, so you're seconding? You have a second? Okay, we have
can you
a-
have the motion? I'll make the second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Dottie, you got that one? Any further discussion on this motion? Okay, all in favor of the motion as presented by Ken? I'm gonna repeat. Say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. All right, so I did receive a letter and I just added it, instead of adding it to correspondence, and Janet is in the meeting today, tonight. It was a letter in regard to the potential use of ARPA funds. Obviously, we've allocated our ARPA funds, but we don't have specifics on what some of these projects are, or a couple of these projects are going to cost. And her idea was that based on obviously the sidewalks on Main Street need to be repaired. So she's thinking ahead that if we can have some initial engineering for a shovel-ready project, if we could put $75,000 potentially aside at some point, if we have the extra funds, we could apply it towards a lot SIP project, but I'll let Janet speak right now. Janet, do you want to elaborate better than I could?
Sure. The lot SIP program is administered by the state DOT through the NECOGs or all the COGs. Lot SIP stands for Local Transportation Capital Improvement Program. And so projects that are eligible include like road reconstruction, sidewalk reconstruction, and it's kind of an underutilized grant program, especially by Thompson. Like the NECOG has a certain amount of money to give out, and Putnam and Killingly are more aggressive. They design the projects, they submit an application to CONDOT, and they've gotten funded for 2 or 3 projects each, worth, what each construction project is well over $1 million. So it's kind of a good return on your investment. And Thompson has had one experience with this program where we used grant funding from the BAR grant and hired a consultant to design 7,400 feet of sidewalks on Riverside Drive. Then we submitted an application to NECOG and in turn received a commitment to fund letter from DOT for $2.1 million. So that's something that could be replicated, and the Main Street project is just one example. There could be other projects that you might think have a higher priority. And even if their ARPA money is used up, it's something in the future that the town might want to consider just putting in a budget, because I mean, that's like 28 times the investment to go from 75,000 to 2.1 million. You would have to check with NECOG and make sure the funds are still there and still flowing, but I haven't heard they aren't.
I liked how you were looking ahead though, Janet, and that forward thinking. It got my attention when you sent this letter, so thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm certainly happy to keep it on the shelf as something, I just keep it as a reminder, we got to keep thinking about this.
Right.
Obviously, revitalizing Main Street is important. So, any thoughts?
Oh, I like the idea.
No, this all started based on what we were doing with the mill and the bar grant that we were able to get. The committee, the MISRAC committee was all in favor of, asking the state to move those funds over to do engineering with the lot SIP money, because there was something available, which worked out very well. And, and keeping in mind with that, at the last MISRAC meeting, we had a very lengthy discussion about that. And it made perfect sense, because the last part of that interconnectivity is Main Street that is in dire need of upgrading. And, requesting funds for that, if possibly out of the ARPA funds, to get a jump on this makes perfect sense, because we do have to supply the engineering cost. And we do have ARPA money that, if it can be used for that, would go an awful long way. And it would complete that interconnect ability. When you start thinking about the sidewalks, you're talking from basically the church across from the mill right down to Route 12 here, and redo some of that is even both sides. And that street is in dire need of repavement as well. We've been getting complaints over that, and it's something that we should do, and it does take time to get this all in place and approved. So I am very much for it.
Well, Janet, I think that we're all in favor. And as things progress and we start allocating some of those funds, we'll try to keep a pocket put aside to make this a priority. If not now, then even in budget season. I'm going to put it in a file to remind me that, yeah, bring it up again. so that we don't forget this. I think it's an important project. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
The last thing, if we can, if we do have the ARPA money and we can earmark it, I mean, it'd be a great project to start, in the fall months going forward. So that way, when the spring comes, we may be able to have something in place and then go after.
You mean the
Right.
fall months for next year?
The fall
next fall.
month.
To receive the money in the
It's through the
spring.
winter in that right now.
Right.
Because engineering is engineering. I mean, they can look at the streets and know what needs to be done
Sure.
just on widths and et cetera.
Mhm.
And it is a fairly easy, it's not as complicated as a 7,400 feet, I would think. But we may be doing both sides, so as much as we can get done ahead of time, and if the funds are available, it gives us a leg up.
Anything further? All right. Thank you, Janet.
You're welcome.
Have a nice vacation.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 10, ambulance services. Discussion and possible action. I'm going to open up the floor to both selectmen. If you have anything you want to share at this time,
Regarding the
the meeting that.
meeting that we had this morning, right?
Right,
Maybe a recap of
Yeah.
where we are from when the situation arose to where we are now. Because we have not had a meeting on that to go, other than the meeting that we had this
All right.
morning.
Just to recap, for anybody who doesn't know what's gone on, I think September 9th, we started receiving resignations, and consequentially, pretty much all of the EMTs resigned from community ambulance, putting us in a tight spot to try to get coverage for our town. I really was able to discover how little power I had, because when things started getting real, and I called QV dispatch, I did not have the power to stop the call out, the tone out to community. That fell on their shoulders. It wasn't until Monday that community's ambulance stopped being called out. That was Monday, the 13th at 7 p.m. after multiple calls had been made. So Tuesday, that put me in the position to have to gave me the ability to find coverage when the PSAR was turned over. So basically, Community Ambulance Service relinquished their PSAR. That's the primary service area. That's what gives them the right to have the ambulance service in town. And we were left, in effect, without an ambulance service. At which time I counseled with various people. The fire marshal was of great assistance to me. I did speak with the chiefs, the local chiefs, just to get a sense of where do I go from here. My first call on Friday morning was actually to the Office of Emergency Medical Services, OEMS, a Connecticut, it's state of Connecticut organization. And they were great advisors for me on what I could or couldn't do. And really being left with one choice, if we wanted 24/7 ambulance service, it only fell to KB Ambulance. They have the extra apparatus. They had the staff, although they are working overtime to be in town. We are faced, and I'm going to present this to the Board of Selectmen, we do have the option to cut it to 12 hours a day, but how do you choose what 12 hours is most important? I've made the decision to do 24/7. If the board chose otherwise, we could drop it to 12, which would cut the cost in half, but I don't think that you can determine which hours of the day are most important. I am looking into a new option, and one of those options will mean that we do have to acquire the ambulances from Community Fire Company, and that's the meeting that we had this morning. Community met with their board over the weekend. They met with their membership yesterday. They presented us with what their requests would be in order to relinquish or to release the ambulances to the town so that we could move forward as quickly as possible with a new plan for ambulance service for the town of Thompson. And understand that we are obligated as a town to provide ambulance service. It's an important function of government, and it can't be neglected, and we have to act expediently. So this morning we met, and the proposal that was put forward, they are requesting $158,688 for the ambulance service, or for the ambulances.
In exchange
In
for it.
exchange for the ambulances.
And supplies.
And supplies. The supplies and equipment, the power load system, et cetera. Some of that money will be used to pay off ambulance 681 and to pay off the power load system. I did prepare a statement I would like to share this evening. Based on, it's been a hard couple weeks. None of these decisions have been easy. It's certainly not something I ever anticipated having to deal with. But we're moving forward, and we're going to be stronger, and I think that we can achieve a better service in the future. Right now, my primary focus is to get the Thompson Fire Ambulance Service back up and running to serve our residents in the most expeditious manner possible, and ensuring the least cost to our taxpayers into the future. I am currently considering combining services with Putnam EMS and believe this will lead to the fastest response times and the most economical costs going forward. This morning at 9 a.m., as I just mentioned, we met with members of the Board of Community Fire Company to discuss the future of ambulance service in the town of Thompson. Community Fire Company has requested the following: $158,688. I agree that this is a fair and amicable solution for both the town of Thompson and Community Fire Company. I want to clarify that this payment is being made to secure the ambulances, supplies, and equipment in order to reorganize the service for the future of Thompson EMS. I would ask the following of Community Fire Company for their consideration. The ambulances, first and foremost, must pass the inspection by OEMS. A list of supplies and equipment to be conveyed to the town will be provided prior to payout. I am committed to supporting the fire and rescue services in the town of Thompson and working together to build a service that will thrive into the future. Further, I recommend that we work together to formalize a service agreement between the town and all of our fire departments prior to the next budget season. This agreement will spell out what each department will provide to our residents and what the town of Thompson will provide to each department. This will help professionalize and form an equitable relationship between fire service and the town into the future. I want what is the very best for our residents and for our fire department so that together we will be stronger in the future. And that's what I have.
What is the current arrangement with KB?
KB is at this point day to day. We have a memorandum of understanding that Ken Slater drew up that's being reviewed by theirs. At this point, it's the memorandum states that it's going to be week to week. It is not a lock solid contract. And it's $1,440 a day. I spoke with Bob Holdsworth today. Sorry, I messed up his name. Holdsworth today. He thinks we could get this accomplished within a month. He can finish his analysis, make recommendations, and we can move forward potentially if both sides are in agreement to combining with Putnam EMS. If you speak to most various towns, I've spoken to Coventry, Mansfield. I spoke to a couple towns in Medford, Mass, Medford, Mass being one of them. Consolidation or regionalization, combining of services between towns is what's necessary in the future. And Bob Holdsworth,
I think, yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Bob.
Bob says that he's been saying that for 6 years now. but that's what's necessary to make EMS work into the future. And we can be the ones that set the pace for this happening. And I think it can be good. I checked with Ed Higgins today, just to see what Putnam has been paying. Ed Higgins is the chair of the board for Putnam EMS. He's also an attorney in Putnam. And he said that on average, Putnam pays between $75,000 and $80,000. So it's right in line with what our town currently contributes, because my fear was that, what if they pay $200,000? So what they've been contributing is very similar to what we've been contributing, and that put my mind at ease. Because I certainly didn't want to jump on board and entertain combining with a service if they were in a tougher situation than we had been in.
So you had talked about possibly going down to 12 hours a day, what 12 hours of that, the better, that kind of thing. Do we have any stats on how many evening calls they have, what the response time has been? Where would our response, I mean, we would draw from Woodstock, Putnam, Dudley, Webster, is that what I'm understanding? If there was a call out?
Correct. We could still have a mutual aid agreement. I think Quinnebog is Dudley, East Thompson is Webster, Thompson Hill is Putnam.
Yes.
West Thompson, I believe, is Woodstock.
I think so.
So there are mutual aid agreements in place.
And 4 of the departments now have their R1,
Or have
which
it,
means that a first responder would go out first.
correct.
In a perfect world, yes.
In the perfect world, correct. And community is working to get theirs completed. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Thoughts?
My biggest concern with the mutual aid package, when you have an ambulance system like we've had, when the ambulance is unavailable, you call for mutual aid and they'll come in. And that is sporadic. I mean, you could have 2 calls in the evening at 7 o'clock and 7:30. So you'll get an ambulance out, but you may not get the second one out because of the crew, and that's where mutual aid comes in. Short term, or even as long as this may take, I don't believe that any of the ambulance services around are gonna be on, 12-hour call to cover the town of Thompson without proper compensation. They're just not gonna do it because they all have the same, staffing requirements and things that they have to put out as well. And they're gonna wanna make sure that they're covering their primary area, whether it's Webster, Putnam, whoever, that their residents are covered first. So staying with the 24-hour service, because of the unknown, is probably the best way to go. It's gonna cost us an awful lot of money. But to rely on the other departments, just out of gratis to cover us, other than the unknown when ambulance is out more than once, is asking an awful lot of our surrounding towns. They all have the same issues with cost, trying to keep afloat.
Have you talked to the surrounding towns and
I have not.
gotten any kind of,
No.
how much is left in that line item for ambulance?
We have enough to take us through 38 days
24
from
hour
the
a day.
ambulance at 24/7.
And how is Thompson Hill with, are they comfortable with the ambulance being stationed there?
I believe so. I haven't heard otherwise. They did move their, forgive me, I don't know what, it's a 1938, I believe it's an engine. It's a
It's their antique
tanker.
truck.
It's their antique 1938 truck. It got moved to the Public Works garage. It's covered with blankets and tarps and to keep it safe in a corner. And again, if we can move forward with some type of a site plan and really break ground by spring, we could have it could be very temporary. Potentially having a new building in place by the end of summer, if you're positive.
I would have to think that with KB operating out of Thompson Hill on the short term, they're in full agreement to help the town out. But when you're talking several months out to get this done, they're gonna be looking for, you know, some compensation because we're utilizing their station. All the utilities, amenities and everything that are associated with it, which is gonna add to cost there. That has to be factored in as well.
Well, it's certainly a conversation we can have with Thompson Hill. We did look at a site that potentially could be rented in the interim, but they were looking for more of a 2-year commitment. So,
So if we were to if we were to move ahead with the request or the purchase of the ambulances and the supplies from community, the request this morning was for it to come out of the ARPA funds. And I'm assuming that request was so it would be faster because community has also said the intent of the funding would be to repair the building.
Correct.
We can't really
That's what
dictate, we can't really dictate to them what they do with it.
That's
It's
what
an
they
exchange.
indicated this morning was
Yeah.
to get themselves back into the station.
Right.
Yes.
So they want, in other words, what I'm saying is they want it to be as fast as possible too, so they can get that project going, because as they said, they've got equipment that they need to be
Well, that-
storing in the winter.
That has been
Inside.
told.
So, with that said, what would your proposal be? What would your next thought be with?
I have a lot of questions, you know, with this whole thing after listening to community. Ultimately, we need to get them back into their station so they can at least do fire operations. I mean, that's a given. Winter's coming. The question that I have that we haven't thought of as of yet is, does the town actually want to go into an OEMS system that we run, we fund, we operate, manage, hire employees, be responsible completely across the board. Fact that people can unionize. There's so many things that we would be assuming running an ambulance service on our own that has proven that with all the surrounding towns that at best you may be breaking even. Or are we better off
Well,
staying
government-
away
I
from
don't
it?
know.
we
that
say this
works
all
that
the
way.
time, that government, even with the transfer station, well, it's not meant to make a profit. It's a service. This is a service that government should provide to its residents. And we should provide a healthy, strong service with staff that are trained impeccably well and that serve the community impeccably well. And I just think that that's the one thing that government can do for its people, is to care for them in this manner. And I don't know why any of us would want to withhold that for them for the sake of, well, it's going to break even. I just don't understand that thinking because it's so crucial.
Ultimately,
And it's
what-
not the town, it actually becomes a
Yeah,
DBA.
that's where I was going.
It's a DBA, it's not town run, it's a DBA with a separate board that oversees separate billing, there's an administrator, there's all those factors that are in place.
I don't disagree with
Mhm.
that. Okay, I'm just throwing out things to consider.
Mhm.
One, regionalization. If it can work, it may be the way to go. And then it's run as a regional ambulance. We contribute, as long as we can make the needs. It's a very strong possibility. Running our own ambulance service has its pitfalls and things that we need to consider. There's, you know, the cost to the taxpayer. There's a whole bunch of things that have to be looked at. There has to be a plan in place so we can weigh out what makes the best option for our people. Just to turn around and say, we're gonna buy these ambulances and then find out, well, going into the ambulance business is not in our best interest.
So do
What do
we,
we do with these ambulances now? And I'm just throwing this stuff out to consider.
well, I mean, but because, do you want to wait until until we contract Bob Holdsworth to do the study? Because Putnam and Thompson potentially will be putting money into that pot, to have Bob Holdsworth do the study. He'll come back, he'll make his recommendations, and then we come back to the table with community? And then we talk to them about their needs? because that's putting their floor on hold. And I thought the floor was important.
No, but we could address the floor immediately with the ARPA funds and get them going no matter what.
Not
But
what-
the-
that's
But
not
the
what
that is an
we're-
option that is
But
always
the
on the table
offer,
with
but the
us.
offer
That's
that's
not
on the
what the
table
proposal-
is for, in exchange for the ambulances.
Yes, and the rest of that letter stated that they were afraid of defunding by the town. And they want a written agreement that we don't defund them.
Well, that's where that's where the contract in the future will come, where we all sit down together and we say, you
But-
provide this, we provide this. There will be contracts in place for the first time ever between the town and the fire departments. That's a win for both sides.
Okay, and I'm gonna
And that answers their call for that.
and I'm going to disagree with you on the contract. We already have a contract in place with community and the other four departments to supply EMS to the town.
Not just EMS, I'm talking about fire service in general.
We're not talking EMS.
We're not talking.
I'm
EMS.
talking
There
about-
should be a
But
But
contract.
that is part of that.
That's through OEMS.
That is a state requirement
That's
that
a
the
state
town
requirement.
is part of that.
Mhm.
And we had to do that. That goes back, I think we're on the third cycle of that.
But many towns have actual contracts for the fire service itself that spells out what happens if you disband? What happens if all your members quit? Where does that leave the town so that we're not in this predicament in the future?
Ability, it's more cost effective. You can purchase items in bulk, as opposed to, individual purchasing. It actually will speed up the time to get to a call because you'll have the service in town, but you'll also have a backup ambulance in Putnam so that somebody is sitting there waiting on the floor to go if need be.
Okay, now we're
yeah,
talking
you have
about two
four-
different things. One, we're talking about EMS, and now
Okay,
we're
so
talking about
maybe-
the fire, we're talking about two different things.
How about we just get back to Community Fire Company's request,
Their proposal.
their proposal? So you propose, nah, we don't really want the ambulances,
I
but
don't
we'll
know
give
if
you
we
money.
want them at this point. And it's not a knock on community. I don't know if we really want to go into the ambulance
So
business.
my thought is, I'll make a motion that we accept their proposal. We give Amy the ability to be able to tweak it as needed. And, the wording of, because this isn't just okay, here's a check, we need to go through that process. I would make the motion that we give Amy the ability to be able to come up with a contract, and if in the next, before the next meeting, there is a plan in place and there's a need to be able to purchase them, that you go ahead and purchase them. So I would give, the motion would be to, I'm not saying accept the offer. I'm saying to start to pursue the proposal for to purchase communities ambulances. And to write up a contract that they are agreeable to within the next 2 weeks.
Using the opera fund.
Using, yes, your phone.
I'm in a full agreement to use the
That's a
ARPA
motion.
funds to get them going.
Do we need a second? That was a motion.
Oh, I'll make a second.
Now we're under
Now we're in
discussion.
discussion.
Yes.
I have no problem in the ARPA funds to give them to fix their floor, to get them going.
But that's not what
Okay,
we're
no,
looking,
no.
that's not what this was about.
But you're correct. They're
It's
looking at it as their only salvation to get their floor done after the board rejected to give them ARPA funds, build an ambulance location, and not entertain the fire department at all. It put them between a rock and a hard place. At that point, they did the petition to get funding. And then when this all blew up, 2 days after the petition was done, they finally surrendered the PSA because they were backed into a corner with no salvation getting out of it. Because all of the EMTs resigned. And then miraculously, on Tuesday after that, all the EMTs are now working for KB Ambulance.
No, but they're not. That was potentially if we ended up moving forward with some type of service. And then as I researched it more, the Putnam EMS, all of them are not working for KB.
but a good portion are.
They already did.
Some of them already
Okay.
did.
And some of them are working overtime now.
Okay, so you start to wonder what was wrong with this, where they all resign. And all of a sudden, KB is our salvation. It possibly is a strong thing of
Do you know,
conflict of interest.
Did you see the letters of
Do you-
resignation?
No, I wasn't privy to any of them.
I have seen one or two. I have not seen all of them. But this is far more deeper, and I don't think it's part of this discussion as to why they resigned.
Well,
It does not have to do with the condemned building.
I didn't get into what is going on. I'm just putting things together to see how they transpired. Okay, one of my main concerns of this, the way it did transpire, is that, you know, one of your family is one of the EMTs
Yes,
that has a very strong what is going on in the service, and I have no idea. So I'm not gonna speculate.
but you are speculating. So don't say
Well,
you're
no,
not gonna
no,
speculate, because
I mean,
you
I
very
don't
much
say-
are
no.
speculating. And this is getting beyond the topic, so can I call
Exactly.
point of order? We're
we
talking
have a
about
motion
whether or
in a
not we're
second on the
funding.
floor.
We're not speculating and making accusations
I wasn't making an
on a
accusation,
situation where we have to provide services to the town.
and I'm in agreement.
And can you think of any other ambulance service that actually had additional apparatus that could house a piece of equipment here? Do you know of another one that would have done that?
We would have gone out to bid. There are AMR.
We had time to go out to bid?
Well, no,
Did we have
sorry,
time to go out to bid,
Sorry, I
Ken?
used the wrong word.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
And
Because
when
I am taking it personal because I care
I
about
chose the
residents.
wrong word,
Okay.
okay?
Mhm.
Not a problem. Concerns are, yes, there was issues at community, given. Some of those concerns were made public in a variety of ways that could have gotten back to our Board of Selectmen, hopefully for some interaction to alleviate them. Okay, in the perfect world, keeping community afloat, even for the short term, is in our best interest at that time. So we could go on with a bigger plan long term. And now we're backed into a corner to provide service at an exorbitant rate of $43,000 a month, day by day, which if we go private or we go ever, our tax rate is gonna go through the roof. And when our people, taxpayers look at it, that's what they're gonna look at, unless they need the service at that time. And we wanna present a service that meets our needs. Nobody's ever questioned that.
Do you think if we had given them the ARPA funds to fix their floor, that the ambulance crew would not have resigned?
That I don't know. But if you're having employer-employee,
you.
In a private company, remember.
if
that
you're
we have
having
no
those,
say
you
in.
would hope that some middle ground could be found to keep it afloat and then get it away and come to a bigger plan without having it
You know what?
implode.
You would hope, wouldn't you? You would hope that the management system would recognize that they have issues and problems, and they would rectify it because they value their employees. The employees that work through COVID, the employees that go out at a call, the employees that were heartbroken when they were giving their resignations. That's what you would hope, is that management system would look at that and see what it is that's needed.
Obviously, you know an awful lot more than I do what's been transpiring. And based on our ambulance system that we have and how important it is to the town, that we would have found as town leaders that had information, the ability to help mediate to get us over the hump, keep the system afloat, and recognize the fact that, yeah, it's time to move on in another direction, but keep it going where it doesn't blow up. And now we're between right where we are.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor right now, Ken, and I don't see that we're getting anywhere
Can
with
you
this.
say what your motion is again?
I think it was something to the effect that I would like for the first
seconded
selectman
it,
to be
but-
able to pursue putting together a contract that is agreeable to community for the purchase of the vehicles. And if, I think I said something, I don't know, that if there's a plan in place to purchase the vehicles.
Yeah.
Within
Right,
2
within
weeks.
2 weeks before the
Thank
next
you.
meeting.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Dottie.
That's where we have a recording secretary,
Yeah,
and she does a great
it
job
does. So,
sorting it out.
and I second it. Any further discussion on that motion? Because basically, in essence, this will give community fire company potentially within the 2 weeks what they need.
And,
Not sooner.
and of course, my question is, if we opt not to buy the ambulances from them, how are we gonna help them after?
We'll have to talk about that after.
That can be a concern as well.
Well, the truth is, if we were to pay, just keep the discussion going, the 158,000, how would we be helping them further? Paying off the loan for ambulance 681, paying off the power load system that's not earning any income. I think this is going above and beyond. Additionally, not at one point, and we could have negotiated back and forth, but not at one point did community ever say, we'll put 50,000 in. Because we have money, because we have a building emergency fund. And not once was that ever offered. And I think that that's relatively unreasonable, but at this point, I see that the ambulances are needed, and that's my focus, as I said earlier.
So, well, I do agree with providing adequate ambulance services important.
And how we get there and where we go from here, that's to be determined, because we will contract Bob Holdsworth. And he'll kind of guide us and direct us as to what will be best. And in my conversation with him today, he feels pretty strongly that this is going to be a win-win. This is going to be a good partnership to really create a stronger EMS service between both towns, where you're sharing administrative costs, you're sharing payroll and benefit costs, you're sharing response time. If Putnam is out on a call and they get a second call, Thompson will respond right away. And the pool of money stays within the organization versus having to go out to mutual aid. So that billing stays within the organization of Putnam and Thompson EMS, whatever it ends up being termed, whatever the name ends up being.
Mutual aid is always a part of any ambulance service.
Of course.
No matter what.
Of course, but in this case, we'll be mutual aid to one another, because we'll have two crews always ready to answer the call. Putnam will always answer for us. The billing stays within that organization. Thompson answers to Putnam sometimes. The billing stays within the organization. So that's what shared services are. And we've done a lot with shared services this year between the school. And we can keep going. It's a win when you work together and build something better, build something bigger. Any further discussion on this?
After we vote, can we continue discussing EMS? I just have a couple of questions about the R1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's still part of services. All in favor of the motion that is on the floor, say aye.
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 Opposed? No. The motion passes unanimously. And the R1 service.
The R1 service that community is putting together, did you receive their application yet?
I have not yet. I have to follow up with John tomorrow.
Do you-
They mentioned it today in the morning's meeting, and because I
Yes,
wanted
and I
to
know
stick
that
to
they want
topic.
to, right. Do you know what is required with the R1 application? What do they?
At least 5 to 6 EMRs. And I was trying to get a list from Judy today on exactly what equipment they were going to need versus so that we can make sure they're well staffed for their R1, but that we also keep certain supplies and equipment.
the equipment that community needs, they have. That it will not be an issue.
Well, the question is whether they had it for the ambulance, and if they're conveying it, we want to make sure that the ambulance gets everything that the ambulance needs.
I'm just it's been a couple of weeks, right? 2 weeks. They said they wanted to put in their R1 and you don't
been
have the
about a week.
application yet.
It's
So
been about a
I
week,
wondered
yeah.
if there was, what the holdup was, if it was.
One of the holdups can be getting medical control to sign off and the availability of medical control at Day Kimball. Whenever we renew our R1 once a year with any of the services, it has to go to medical control and get the, I think it was Dr. Wexler, I think is the ER doctor that has to sign off that he's, is going to provide, he's in agreement. Towns, I believe the town signs as well. And then it goes to OEMS and they look at what the roster is and then they issue the,
It actually goes
R1.
to OEMS first, and then I finish it off, yeah. I sign off
And
on it.
why didn't they have this R1 when the other departments have it?
Because they felt they had ambulance service, I believe, but I'm speculating. I
Oh,
don't want to
yeah, yeah,
speculate.
yeah, I'm
We don't
sorry,
wanna
I'm sorry.
speculate.
I'm sorry,
That'll
we
be a
don't know.
question, that'll be a question. I'll get in touch with
curious,
Chief
yeah.
Sharp tomorrow and see how the process is going. Because it's been over a week since we touched base on it
Oh,
last.
it's only been a week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was last
Feels
week
like
that they said
forever.
they were gonna go with the R1.
Okay.
I know it does feel like forever. So. All right. Agenda item 11, other business. Any other business that the board wants to bring to the table tonight? All right, agenda item 12, citizen comments. We are back to citizen comments. We'll entertain anybody in the virtual audience. Just maybe state your name and address in the chat box if you want to speak. And then in the live audience, Mr. Benoit, raise your hand. Steve Benoit, come on up, talking to the echo-free microphone. Name and address.
Steve Benoit, Woolen Drive, Quinnebog. I have an issue with paying for the ambulances. I paid for those already. And everybody in this room that tax dollars has paid for those. So buying ambulances for myself. I mean, talk about, you worried about the taxes, the citizens thinking about this, well, that's exactly what we're doing and we've done it for years. But just an issue that I think needs to be brought up. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. All right. Mr. Grove.
Do you have anybody else?
Nope, nobody else. Come up, state your name and address.
Larry Grow, 183 Wager Road,
You don't have to
North
say
Groveland,
that.
Dale, Connecticut, 06255. I've never done this before. Mr. Linky brought up something earlier about, what is it? 1395, 1425, whatever that property is up on Riverside Drive, the old stove pipe shop. I just wanted to know when that went to town meeting.
November, I believe it was.
That went to town meeting, it was approved by the townspeople.
I don't remember.
I heard you
No,
talk
what
about
happened-
Planning and
the-
zoning, I heard you talk about.
Sorry, I had to think about it. Planning and zoning gave it the R21, whatever. Anyways, they gave the authorization. And then it comes back because it's over $1,000 and it goes to bid. So it goes out to bid. That's the way the ordinance is written.
I'm pretty sure it had to go to town meeting.
The attorney did not specify that. The attorney had a hand in all of it. So I can confer with him.
I'm just
Happy to
asking a
confer
question.
with him.
So you're saying it just didn't go to town
It
meeting?
did not go to town meeting.
When-
November, the one where we acquired property, it went to town meeting.
Okay,
And when we donated property for Wyndham Land Trust, that was in
Donated.
May.
donating property to London,
Conservation, that was in May.
donating property
Wyndham
out of
Land
the
Trust.
town of Thompson to another
Wyndham Land
entity,
Trust.
which is Wyndham Land Trust, went to town meeting. But this one didn't, and the town attorney was okay with that?
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Nice to see you at the meeting.
Absolutely, likewise. Well, I'll go to every meeting, right? Thank you. Thank you for answering my question.
Yeah.
Even though you didn't have to since it was citizen. I appreciate it.
Matt Whipple had said any R1 questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Oh, there's a hand up, one sec. Okay, Matt Whipple, did you have something to say?
Yes, I do.
Okay, please unmute yourself, and you did.
One
State your,
thirteen,
state your name and address.
Matthew Whipple, 113 Riverside Drive. So as far as the ambulance coverage, it should be 24/7. It's very hard to make that decision if at 1 AM you don't want that ambulance coming. I don't want to make that decision, and I know the three of you don't want to. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, as far as going to a town-run ambulance, I think that would be a very wise idea, because you want to bring people to town. You want to make it a career, same as you do any other job. Make it a rewarding field. People join EMS. Do you want to do EMS for $12.50 an hour, minimum wage? No, you want to do it for a career, long-term. You want a rewarding career, same as everybody else does. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Matt. We have Brian Erickson, 39 Green Acres Lane. You are free to speak, Mr. Erickson.
All right, hey everybody, Brian Erickson, 39 Green Acres Lane. I just wanted to touch on the ambulance and the money going to community. I figure if we're going to give money to community out of these ARPA funds, and we're talking about whether or not to take the ambulances from them in exchange for this money, that question seems to answer itself. If you're going to give them money and your choices are money and no ambulances or money and ambulances, why wouldn't the town take the ambulances and equipment in exchange for the money? Because in my eyes, I don't think if the money was given to community ambulance and the ambulance is left there and the floors repaired, none of the EMS staff are going to return. So that's not going to solve any problems other than community housing their equipment, which, don't get me wrong, that needs to be resolved and quickly as winter is approaching. But I think in regards to supporting the town, I think if we're going to give money to community, we should be taking their ambulances so that we can make something of the ambulance service for the town. Because that's the only way that those ambulances in particular are going to be staffed, as if it's through this town. That's my personal thoughts. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Okay, floor is still open for citizen comments. Any citizen comments? Gonna just give it a couple more seconds here. Anybody's having a hard time unmuting themselves? All right, I'm seeing none. We will move on to agenda item 13, tax refunds. I make a motion that we refund the following taxpayers. AJ Manufacturing LLC, $35.76. Leon E. Flynn, $21.76. Priscilla Harris, $15.62. Virginia Hool, $8.95. Christopher Johnson, $30.04. Ronald Kosiba, $10.38. Constance A. Nash and Glenn G. Wallen, $666.91. Beatrice L. and Omer A. Sponsy, $27.96. Randall Tupai, $9.08. And Robert A. Vincent, $120.91, for a total of $947.37 in tax refunds. Make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving these tax refunds, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that motion is unanimous, or that vote is unanimous. Make a motion that we adjourn at 8:09 PM.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of adjournment at 8:09, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did you say aye? Okay, sorry, I didn't hear you. And that's unanimous. I just thought maybe you wanted to keep the meeting going.
Oh.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.